Okay, before I move away from the document template, I do want to take a quick look at the layers. So let's start with a fresh template. And I don't know that there's a comprehensive list of what gets saved with the sheet format and what gets saved with the document template. But I'm pretty sure if I come over here to the layers, I would like to have a dimensions layer, and then we'll make that something a little more contrast. And then we made a center layer, so center lines, center marks, and something that's a little bit brighter. Don't really need anything for the notes. If we wanted to change style and thickness, we have the thicker line weights, and also the different styles. But because the center marks come in with their own, we don't really have to do anything with that. So maybe a notes layer that would be, yeah, I think those all look okay, just to have it available. So come up and do a file, save as, and bring it down to the drawing template. Yes. Okay, so it's not going to update anything on the current drawing. I would have to create it, and the purpose of the template is I don't want to create it each time. But so the dims, and everybody kind of has their preference of colors, so there is no you have to do it this way. It's whatever looks good and is acceptable to the company. All right, so for the balloons, if we look on the filters, if I do F6 on the keyboard, I think that was F6. All right, so nothing's selected, so it's not going to toggle on, toggle off. And we're going to filter for notes and balloons, and then the filter came on. So when I grab that, that grabs all of the balloons, and I can switch those to. I will make them dims. I was going to use the notes, but that works. And if we wanted to highlight, yeah, so there isn't really anything that I found that we can see about the center lines. Right, so those aren't really getting picked. So F6 will turn off the filters, and really not letting me have the jog lines. So we'll leave those for later. All right, and then if we come back to the dimensions and whole callouts, we can window pick everything, and we'll switch by going over to other, setting to dims. All right, so a little more contrast, a little bit easier to read. And then those two can go over to center marks. Alright, we'll pretty much just go through all of the sheets and make those adjustments. So the thing to be careful of, with the center marks still active, I'm going to switch everything to dims if I'm not careful. Alright, so you get the idea of that. Make sure to save it. Alright, so one of the things that we want to take a look at, and let's use the threaded fastener. Oh, I'm still in the filter, so F6 turns the filter off. We'll open up the part, Alright, so configurations are going to be managed by the suppression states, the size of geometry, anything that you would consider physical becomes a part of that group. Anything that is a visual, hiding, showing, transparency, colors, appearances, those are going to fall under the display states. So what I want to check real quick is we're in display state 3. If I click, I'm on display state 2. So display states can be across the board. If we go into the properties, right now we're linking the display states to the configurations. So I will only have one display state per configuration. There are times in the assembly where I want to have like a work in progress where I can hide and show different things. Then that display state wouldn't necessarily be tied, so I would go into the properties and uncheck those. And if we do that, then we have to manage it more along the lines of which one is active with which configuration manually. Alright, so let's use the appearances. If I right click, and when you are setting appearances, you can pick the face, the feature, the entire body, or the entire part. So if I go to the body, and we get a color, and I'll bring this down. And so the choice is this display state, all display states, and you just want to be careful because all display states, just what it means, it's going to go through all the configurations and make those adjustments. Alright, so for the pivot screw, and then the same thing, do the appearances. And a lot of times the appearances will come over with a material, and we'll have to work with those. So the way that this goes into the assembly then and we'll let it rebuild, is that we come over to the flyout, right? And right now everything's set to part. If I wanted to change a color or manage the colors out of the assembly, then I can do pretty much the same type of thing. I'll go into the appearances, except we're going to have a higher level. The assembly component, the face, the boss, the body, and then the part. So if I apply that at the component level, then this is going to stay in the assembly. If I apply it at the part level, it'll migrate back and become part of that group. And then the same thing, we want to watch our feature scope or our display state scope only for this display state. So this one will make a little lighter blue. We'll leave the last one in gray. Alright, so I mentioned the transparency and the work in progress. If I add a display state, then single click again, work in progress, and I can go through in my work in progress and say tab to hide that one and tab to hide that one, and then let's collapse. Alright, so we have just those two elements. And let's go ahead and make that one transparency. So that's a little ghost image, but now I can switch easily between the full and the work in progress. Okay, so it gives you some options on the visuals of the parts. So we'll save that. All right. So the thing another thing to watch out for is if we go back into the drawing, we can make this solids. I'm always hesitant to put these views in solid with ink being about $1,000 a gallon. Anybody that went to print this out, whether we saved it as a PDF or sent it to any of the other file formats, they'd be kind of locked into having these solid geometries. So wireframe and that geometry is a little more print friendly, and we'd be able to go through. And same thing over here is if I go to the solid view, I'm going to pick that up, but you have to decide what kind of value it has for creating the drawing.